What if I told you that one of the most famous burger flippers in the world doesn't make its money from burgers? That the secret to its trillion-dollar empire isn't a secret sauce, but a secret business model hidden in plain sight? This isn't a story about fast food. It's a story about one of the greatest financial deceptions in business history. And by the end, you'll never look at those golden arches the same way again. It's a story about ambition, clever strategy, and the kind of thinking that turns a roadside diner into a financial superpower. A masterclass in how seeing the unseen can change everything. In 1954, a milkshake mixer salesman named Ray Kroc walked into a small, efficient restaurant run by the McDonald brothers in San Bernardino, California. He was blown away, not by the food, but by the system. It was a perfectly orchestrated assembly line for meals, delivering burgers in 30 seconds flat. Kroc saw a future where this system could be everywhere. He partnered with the brothers and began franchising. But there was a massive problem. The franchise model as it existed was flawed. Kroc was making a meager 1.4% cut of the gross sales from each restaurant. After costs, he was barely breaking even. He was selling a dream, but the math wasn't mathing. Kroc was ambitious. He wanted McDonald's to dominate America. But with such thin margins, every new store meant more stress, not more profit. He was running faster, working harder, yet getting nowhere. Banks didn't trust his model, investors weren't interested, and his partners were growing restless. He was stuck in the fast food business, a brutal, low-margin game. He needed a way to make real money, or his empire would crumble before it was even built. The turning point came when Kroc met a financial wizard named Harry Sonneborn. While everyone else was obsessed with the burgers, Sonneborn looked at the land. He saw the real gold wasn't in the beef patties, it was in the dirt underneath the restaurants. He proposed a radical idea to Kroc. We should not be in the hamburger business. We are in the real estate business. His plan was diabolically simple. Instead of just letting franchisees buy the brand and find their own locations, McDonald's would use its growing power to buy the land itself. It would then lease that land back to the franchisee. Suddenly, every new McDonald's wasn't just a fast food outlet, it was a property acquisition. Kroc wasn't just building a brand, he was building a portfolio. And here's the genius. The franchisees, desperate to own a McDonald's, would happily pay rent on land that McDonald's itself owned. They thought they were running their own business, but in reality they were tenants in Kroc's growing empire. This was the moment a burger chain was reborn as a stealth real estate titan. Sonneborn's model turned the company into a cash-generating machine, one that could control both the brand and the ground it stood on. So how does this machine actually work? Let's break it down. When you want to open a McDonald's, you don't just buy a franchise, you're entering a triple-threat financial agreement. First, you pay a $45,000 one-time franchise fee. Second, you pay an ongoing royalty of about 4 to 5% of your monthly sales. But the third and most crucial part is the rent. You pay McDonald's a hefty monthly rent for the land and the building, which often amounts to a significant chunk of your revenue, sometimes as high as 15% of sales. That rent is where the real profit lies. McDonald's, with decades of experience, is a master location scout. They buy strategic plots at high-traffic intersections, the kind of prime real estate that's almost guaranteed to appreciate in value. They become the landlord, and you, the franchisee, are their tenant with a legally binding 20-year lease. This model is genius because it flips the entire risk-reward structure. The franchisee assumes all the operational risk of running the restaurant, the labor costs, the food waste, the customer complaints. McDonald's simply sits back and collects rent checks like a calm, patient investor. If the location fails, the franchisee is ruined, but McDonald's still owns the incredibly valuable land, which they can simply lease to a new, hopeful franchisee. In other words, McDonald's figured out how to make money whether the fries are selling or not. They turned capitalism itself into a predictable rent cycle. The results of this strategy are staggering. Today, McDonald's is one of the largest real estate holders in the world, with a property portfolio valued at over $30 billion. Roughly 85% of its 39,000 locations are franchised, and a whopping 65% of its franchise revenue doesn't come from selling Big Macs. It comes from collecting rent. This is what makes McDonald's virtually recession-proof. During the 2008 financial crisis, while other companies crumbled, McDonald's stock was one of only two in the Dow Jones that finished the year in the green. Why? Because even in a downturn, people still eat cheap food. And more importantly, McDonald's franchisees are contractually obligated to pay their rent, regardless of sales. The company outsources the economic turbulence to its franchisees while pocketing stable, predictable rental income. Even when trends shift, veganism, inflation, new diets, McDonald's keeps collecting checks. They're less a restaurant company and more a property management empire disguised in a yellow clown suit. It's a financial fortress disguised as a fast food joint. And that's why, decades later, even as new chains rise and fall, McDonald's keeps expanding, not just with restaurants, but with land. So what's the ultimate lesson here? The most successful businesses often aren't what they appear to be. McDonald's mastered the art of the stacked business model. On the surface, they're in the fast food business. One layer down, they're in the franchising business. But at its core, the foundation of their entire empire is real estate. They solved the problem of their own profitability not by making a better burger, but by becoming the landlord to everyone who wanted to sell it. The next time you pull up to a McDonald's, remember, you're not just at a restaurant. You're standing on a piece of a multi-billion-dollar property empire. The real product isn't the Happy Meal, it's the land it's built on. The business world is full of these hidden models and secret strategies. Companies that make money from places you'd never expect. Disney isn't just about movies, it's about intellectual property. Apple isn't just tech, it's an ecosystem. And McDonald's? It's the landlord of Main Street. If you want to pull back the curtain on more companies that aren't what they seem, we break them down every week. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next insight. What other company's secret strategy should we uncover? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.